Here is question 1A, part 4. So the question's asking us to compare the trends for the United States, for Great Britain and New Zealand over these Olympic Games. So the first thing that we're going to do is take the US, and I'm drawing the trend line through the US, and we can see there, what is it doing? Well, it's increasing over time. Then we do the same thing for the Great Britain there, and again we can see that that trend line is increasing, not quite as steeply as the US, a little bit less slowly, but still increasing. Then we've got New Zealand across the bottom, and there's two ways that you could judge that. You could either say that's pretty stable, or I would accept a very slight increase in the number of medals. So that's what we want to be able to write up about. So let's start with the trend line for the US. So we can say our average number of medals that they won in each Olympics Games is increasing. I've also noticed that the number of medals varies quite a bit for the US. When we look at our trend line for Great Britain, we notice that overall the average number of medals that it won is increasing, very slightly, but it's increasing. But more specifically, I can talk about how the average number has decreased in the first part and then been increasing again in the second part. So I'm going into the trend in more detail. I'm breaking it down into two sections. Same thing for New Zealand, our trend line there. Overall, the average number of medals is reasonably steady. And more specifically, the average number of medals has been increasing over just the last 8 Olympic Games. If you look at your graph, it's only the last section that we've been seeing an increase. So going back to the question asked to compare it. So what we've done so far is stated what the trends are. Now we need to make a comparison of those trends. So that's what we need to do. So we can start by saying the US has got the highest number of medals won in each Olympic Games. Great Britain has the second highest, and New Zealand the third highest, when we're just comparing those 3 countries, okay? Not from all countries in the world, just from these 3 particular ones. So that's one comparison we can make. It's just the line, which one is the highest, middle, and lowest. We can also talk about that the US has the largest variation in the number of average medals won, and New Zealand has the smallest amount of variation, so we're more consistent. And also we can talk about New Zealand has the flattest and most stable trend line for the average number of medals won in each Olympic Games. So that's our comparison. Let's have a look at how we mark this. So when we come to doing our marking, if we are able to talk about one trend and we identify one trend, so maybe we just identify that the United States trend is increasing, that would be worth an achieved level skill, so that will get you a U. If we were able to identify 2 trends, so we identified that the United States is increasing, and we also noticed that Great Britain is slightly increasing as well. 2 trends, that gets us a merit level, that's an R. If we were able to identify 3 trends, so for the US, for Great Britain, and for New Zealand, all 3, and a comparison has been made. Okay, that's quite important. If you do a comparison as well, then you can earn yourself a T, which is your excellence level thinking.